Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are hearing from Goneril today in Act 4, Scene 2, and we had quite a long episode yesterday where we covered a lot of ground. Lear is being taken to Dover by Kent, and maybe the Fool is gone after Act 3, Scene 6, so maybe the Fool isn't on that, maybe not. He disappears somewhere along the way. But Lear is en route to Dover, and his train is growing smaller and smaller. Meanwhile, Gloucester went back to his place and ended up getting his eyes gouged out for his loyalty to Lear. Cornwall and Albany are just about to go to war with each other, and France is going to come in and, take advantage of all of the disarray that's going on currently in Lear's kingdom. So things aren't really great right now. And yesterday we got to hear a little bit from Edgar, who still disguises poor Tom, who had started to empathize with Lear and how Lear has become childish as he's getting older and been abandoned, whereas Edgar is getting wiser as he's been abandoned by his family and all that, like this weird, he's becoming a child, I'm becoming an adult thing that's going on there. So he was pontificating until he saw his dad, Gloucester, come out with bandages over his eyes because he has no eyes left, and Gloucester asked Edgar / poor Tom to please take him to a very high cliff in Dover, and Edgar is currently escorting him there. Also, Edgar has now twice gotten to hear Gloucester. Edgar has heard Gloucester twice now talk about how he misses his son Edgar, and maybe shouldn't have listened to Edmund because Gloucester knows it was Edmund that ratted him out for being a traitor. So now in Act 4, Scene 2, as if enough things weren't falling apart yet, we start out with Goneril and Edmund, and we find out that she very much doesn't like her husband. And then a messenger comes in and is like, yeah, I told your husband Albany what was going on, and he basically said, like, yeah, France, come on, bring it, it's probably even better, and said some disparaging things about Goneril, and she's like, oh, she's such a and replies to her speech follows what the servant has said, but she's saying it to Edmund. She says, then shall you go no further. It is the cowish terror of his spirit that dares not undertake. He'll not feel wrongs which tie him to an answer. Our wishes on the way may prove effect. Back, Edmund, to my brother. Hasten his musters and conduct his powers. I must change names at home and give the distaff into my husband's hands. This trusty servant shall pass between us. Ere long you are like to hear, if you dare venture in your own behalf, a mistress's command. Wear this, spare speech, decline your head. This kiss, if it durst speak, would stretch thy spirits up into the air. Conceive, and fare thee well. And Edmund leaves. So basically what she's saying here is that she hates her husband, Albany, very much, doesn't like him, but she's also got the hots for Edmund, and she gives him a something, and that something, in some plays it's a necklace, in some it's a ring, in some it's a whatever, but she gives him some token to sort of like stake her claim on him, and sends him back to Cornwall to get Cornwall's armies going or whatever. And so Edmund leaves to go do that, and then Albany comes in, and the two of them have a nice friendly domestic spat. No, they're screaming at each other, and he says that she is not worth the wind that blows in her face, and she calls him milk-livered, and all sorts of fun insults are thrown back and forth, where we find out that neither of them wants to give the other one the time of day for anything. And then a servant comes in. Oh, and side note, that bit is much more fleshed out in versions other than the folio, which is why I'm not going to do the monologues that you will find in other versions, because they're not in the folio. Again, with the lots of differences in Lear between the different versions. But then a servant comes in and tells Goneril and Albany that Cornwall is dead due to the wounds that he sustained when his servant tried to stop him from taking Gloucester's eyes out. And she decides that she has to go and, take arms, fight, fight, fight. And Albany, who at least part of the reason that he doesn't like Goneril anymore is the way that she treated her father. He's also mortified by the way that Gloucester has just been treated, so he sort of vows to go get revenge for Gloucester's sake. And that is the end of Act 4, Scene 2. So yeah, all of the family ties are coming apart at this moment. Goneril does also in here express a little bit of fear that she has sent Edmund to go see Regan because Regan is now a widow and could marry Edmund, even though Goneril's the one that has the hots for him. So now we've also got a love triangle thrown into the whole thing, and yeah, it's a very soap opera play with lots of horrible things and death and fantastic insults. So anyway, I will see you tomorrow as we dig further into Act 4. See you then. Mwah.